Welcome everybody, this is Maurice Frangi. I am now in Indiana, Huntington at St. Felix Priory for an education phase for the Creighton model fertility care system. And as you've noticed in the past few months, whenever I'm at an EP, I try to interview people who are taking the training or people around the area so they can just share with us some of their stories and their journey with the Creighton model and NaProTECHNOLOGY. And I'm so grateful that I am joined today by a couple, Phil and Stacey, who drove up to St. Felix just to be with me to do this interview and to share more about their experience with the Creighton model. Stacey and Phil, welcome. Thank you so much for coming here. It's really a blessing to get to know you and spend some time just hearing your story. So can you just begin by introducing yourself, letting our viewers know where you are from and what you do briefly?
Yeah, I'm Stacey and I'm from Fort Wayne.
I'm Phil and I'm also from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
I am a youth minister, youth and young adult minister is my day job. And I also volunteer with Springs in the Desert Ministry, which is a ministry for couples struggling with infertility.
And I am an IT manager at a company that makes windows and doors. And I am also involved in Springs in the Desert Ministry. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Stacey, I understood from our conversation now that you've been charting for some time, that you've been introduced to the Creighton model way before you got married. So can you just share with us a little bit about your journey with the Creighton?
Yeah, so I started charting for the first time when I was about 18 is when I was introduced. And it was because I had an ovarian cyst rupture, and my doctor actually hesitated to recommend it because they thought it might be controversial since I was unmarried, that I might use it in a way to prevent conceiving. And I said, no, like my boyfriend and I are like saving sex for marriage. But it was a tool to help them sort of understand what was going on with my cycles. And shortly after we got married, so I charted for a little bit, but took a break as I went through college. And then when we were preparing to be married, we started doing Creighton together. And shortly after we got married is when I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And then our relationship with Creighton had highs and lows. It's been a really useful tool for us as I've received more diagnoses of adenomyosis and endometritis, and it's helped me work with my doctor to see what ways we can take care of my health and my body. Right now, I guess I should add to Phil is the one that does all of the charting, because I am not in a place where I feel good about looking at the chart and putting the stickers on through our infertility journey. So it's been a challenge to relate to the experience, and but fortunately that's where Phil has been able to sort of lead us. So
I know the Creighton model very well.
That's good.
Yeah, and I share with him what's going on so he can put it on the chart.
Okay. Since you've charted as a single woman and then engaged, and now Phil is in charge of charting, would you encourage more the couple to be involved, like from your experience, like besides the fact that now you don't feel like you can do it because of the infertility journey, but considering him supportive of you and his involvement in that, what would you say for a couple who might be watching, for men who might be hesitant? And you too, Phil, please answer this question. Because I know we try in the Creighton model to encourage the men to be supportive and to be involved. So what would you say from your experience with that part?
So what was so important to me about using this tool is that I knew it was a way to respect my body and to take care of my body, and that the methods of Creighton and NaProTECHNOLOGY are something that is concerned with my soul and isn't going to lead me into something that would harm myself spiritually. And so that's why using this method and this model was so important to me throughout the years that we've used it on and off.
Yeah, and then answering the question about like me joining in on the charting, I feel like it is important because through our struggle of infertility, the struggle is not for just the woman, it's also for the man because it's a marriage. So me being involved not only, keeps me informed of what's going on, but also helps connect us more physically and emotionally because instead of Stacey walking through the journey on her own, I am walking with her. And that doesn't hurt to, know more. Yeah.
And I would say too, like, your like willingness to do the charting wasn't something that you initially felt like you wanted to do. It was sort of at the point where I was like, I'm not doing it anymore.
Well, we did get married when I was out of college, so
right,
I did lack some maturity.
Really young. Yeah. So I think like you've stepped up to that in a way that you saw that there was a need, I guess, to support me, and so it's been learning and growing for both of us, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you're going through the infertility journey, and there might be a lot of people also who are watching who are not even familiar with NaProTECHNOLOGY, who just think that in vitro fertilization is their only option. Mm-hmm. And maybe some people might think that with NaProTECHNOLOGY, we promise them to have babies, when the reality we know based on the effectiveness of the Creighton and NaProTECHNOLOGY, it can help couples struggling with infertility achieve a pregnancy, and the effectiveness can go up to 80% based on the situation. So it's not 100%. But would you say that in this journey, it's been somewhat a journey where there has been some healing, some hope going on in your experience, even through those ups and downs with the Creighton and NaProTECHNOLOGY?
I would say that being able to experience healing of regarding some of my health conditions and finding answers that I wouldn't have received without Creighton and NaProTECHNOLOGY. So getting to work with my doctor and sort of uncover what's going on in my body has been so helpful for me in that sense. And then beyond that, like in our infertility journey, seeking out spiritual support has been really important for us, to like see where God's at work in our marriage, and through the path of infertility, that He hasn't abandoned us, and that He's with us has been really important.
So that's why with the tool that we use, the Spice, which I understood that you were not too much knowledgeable in it or too much taught to use it, Spice, we really tried to help a couple realize that our communication is on different levels, and the first important part is the spiritual, because as you just said, we need God, we need Him to be at the center, regardless of whether we're struggling with infertility or not. He is what makes our marriage solid.
Yeah, and I think that there's like this misconception maybe that you only experience healing in infertility like when you have the baby, like when you have the miracle baby.
Yeah.
But like I know that's not true, because the Lord can work healing in so many ways. Definitely. And like ultimately, like healing in infertility looks like it's Christ. The answer is Christ. Exactly. And so Creighton has allowed us to consider like how important our bodies are in this, like, and to take care of our bodies in a way that treats them wholly, as in like, I am a whole person. I'm not just a sum of parts. I'm not just my fertility. And leaning into like spiritual support has allowed us to just see that God is walking with us. Yeah.
Yeah. God works in a mysterious way and brings fruit to our marriage in many ways. Like I can speak myself, our infertility journey, and how the Lord has made our marriage so fruitful in many different ways. But in the eyes of the world, of the children as the only way of showing that fruitfulness. Based on your experience, and we don't know what God's plan is for both of you. He's the only one who knows it. You're on a journey, we're all on a journey. But based on your experience with all what you've been through with Creighton and NaPro, would you encourage other couples, whether they have gynecological problems or infertility problems, to consider Creighton and NaPro?
Absolutely. I mean, knowing like that the provider is going to not recommend anything that violates their dignity, like that, I think is so important when seeking care for your body. I can't imagine going to any other provider. I mean, I know people who don't see a NaPro doctor, and they express some of the frustrations and challenges of going because they're pressured to take birth control and to do things that violate what their beliefs are. And so I feel really like safe in the sense that knowing that my doctor is not going to pressure me to do something that's not good for my soul.
Yeah.
I think from my perspective, on it, like looking at Stacey using the charting and then me joining in, it's actually very empowering for couples and women especially to be in the journey of their fertility with their doctor instead of their doctor telling them what to do. Being able to participate in that is very powerful. So instead of, being told what to do, having a say in it and knowing, this is the time of the month and this is what I'm supposed to do, it's very empowering.
Thank you. Yeah, it really empowers women and couple, making them more in tune with their cycle. And probably for you as a man, Phil, it has a different take than women, because not a lot of men become knowledgeable in what's happening in their wife's cycle. So
it's hard to relate. I mean,
yeah, but don't you feel like it's, in a way, for you as a man, it helped you grow closer, like sharing that responsibility with Stacey as opposed to having her, like example, taking the pill just on her own, and it's something that she does on her own, and it's not something that you both use as a couple.
I feel like it lets me have a say in everything too, because if we didn't know what was going on in our cycle, like how can you make a good choice? So it really empowers me and Stacey together to make a choice of what we're gonna do. It's very empowering for everyone.
It is, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. You mentioned involvement with the Springs.
Springs in the Desert. I'd love to share about that.
Please.
So, Phil and I got involved with this ministry called Springs in the Desert back in 2019, and it's for couples who are on the path of infertility. It's a ministry that offers community for individuals and couples who are struggling with infertility, and it's a place to acknowledge some of the grief and the pain, and then be accompanied by others going through infertility, and leads you to understand fruitfulness in your marriage. And it's been an incredible source of healing for us on our journey. This weekend, we're actually leading a retreat at Notre Dame for those struggling with infertility. And so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think what I've enjoyed in it is that most guys don't like talking about stuff in general, especially health of their spouse. And the struggles they're going through. So it's been very helpful to meet other men that are in this struggle, to kind of be able to walk with them, and to know, this is a tool that you can use to help you get know your spouse better, because they have gone through it. It's easier to walk on a journey with other people rather than as just a couple. So
yeah, and I think too, as we were talking before we started recording, discussing the spice, which is something that was not super strongly integrated into our experience with Creighton. It sounds like this, what we found with Springs in the Desert and that spiritual support is sort of just a beautiful complement to Creighton when when you're considering the spice and the importance of like the spiritual element of your marriage, and that it makes so much sense that the two would go together, because like Creighton is focused on like taking care of the body and healing in that way, and Springs in the Desert is focused on like spiritual support and processing grief and those emotions, and then moving to fruitfulness. And so yeah, both, I feel like through those two things we get like both sides of
that's great. Yeah, that's
the care for your body and soul.
Your body and soul, exactly, because we're not just physical being,
Right.
Yeah. So that's great. Thank you so much, Stacey and Phil, for joining us and for sharing your story. And in the description box below, you can find link to the Springs in the Desert, and I'll put a link also to the Institute, so you can get more information about Creighton and NaPro. And hopefully people who are listening out there, you can realize that there is help available for couples struggling with infertility, for women struggling with different gynecological problems. We are not promising anyone 100% results, but we are promising them better outcome than being on the birth control pill or going through the pain of in vitro fertilization and not even being able to get there. So more information in the description box, and thank you so much for watching, and God bless you all.